Michael Irvin was a champion on the field, a Hall of Famer, a five-time Pro Bowler, a key piece of the Dallas Cowboys dynasty in the 1990s. But behind the touchdowns, trophies, and TV lights, he was spiraling. Addiction, arrests, scandals. At the peak of his career, Irvin's off-field life was crumbling, and nobody knew just how close he came to losing everything. Why did one of the NFL's biggest stars fall so far so fast? What was really happening behind the scenes of America's team? And how did he survive it all to become a voice for the very players walking the path he nearly destroyed? Let's find out. Michael Irvin grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the 15th of 17 children. Football wasn't just a game, it was his way out. At the University of Miami, Irvin became a national name. Big catches, big personality, big plays in big games. He was everything the NFL wanted, and more. In 1988, he was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in the first round, and that's where the legend began. By the early 1990s, Irvin had become the emotional engine of the Cowboys. With Troy Aikman at quarterback and Emmitt Smith in the backfield, Dallas became a dynasty. 3 Super Bowl wins in 4 years. Irvin was a fiery leader, a relentless worker, a clutch performer. But something darker was growing underneath. Even during those Super Bowl runs, there were whispers. Irvin's nightlife, his ego, his entourage. But as long as the Cowboys kept winning, no one really questioned it. Until March 1996, Michael Irvin was arrested in a Dallas hotel room with multiple women and illicit substances. The story exploded in the media. Suddenly, the Golden Boy was a headline for all the wrong reasons. The NFL suspended him for the first 5 games of the 1996 season. He apologized. He promised to change. But the spiral wasn't over. Over the next few years, Irvin would be accused of multiple off-field incidents, some proven, some not. He was constantly in the tabloids, constantly under scrutiny, and all the while he was battling a personal war with addiction, a war he nearly lost. On Sundays, Irvin was unstoppable, but off the field, he was unraveling. He later admitted he was using at the height of his career, partying into the early hours, going straight from the club to practice, surrounded by people who enabled the lifestyle, the fame, the money, the pressure. It all fed a cycle that became harder and harder to escape. And the Cowboys, they enabled it too, because winning was the priority, because as long as Irvin performed, nobody asked too many questions. But the truth was catching up. In 1999, during training camp, Irvin suffered a spinal cord injury that ended his career. Just like that, the game was gone. And what was left? A man who had built his identity around football, now forced to face everything he had been running from. After retirement, Irvin could have disappeared, could have become another cautionary tale. But something changed. He started speaking out about his mistakes, about addiction, about the dangers of fame when you don't have a foundation. He turned to faith, to mentorship, to media. In time, Irvin became one of the most beloved NFL analysts on television, not just for his charisma, but for his vulnerability. He didn't hide from his past. He owned it and used it. He mentored young players entering the league, warned them about the traps, about the fake friends, about the money, the temptations, and the consequences. He became what he never had, a guide. But even then, the past wasn't done with him. In 2007, Irvin was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His speech was raw, emotional, and honest. He wept. He admitted to nearly throwing it all away. He thanked his wife for sticking with him. He begged others to learn from his journey. But even in recent years, Irvin has faced new controversies, allegations, suspensions from TV networks. Some dismissed him again, others defended him. Because Michael Irvin isn't perfect, but maybe that's the point. He's never claimed to be. What makes his story powerful isn't the perfection, it's the persistence, the redemption, the brutal honesty about how far he fell and how hard he's still trying to stay standing. Michael Irvin was a champion on the field, but behind the scenes he was spiraling. He lost himself, nearly lost it all, but he came back, not just to be seen, but to be heard. He turned his downfall into a message, and his message into a mission. So what do you think? Did the NFL do enough to support players like Irvin in his era? Or did the system profit off his downfall? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe these stories matter, subscribe to NFL Unwritten, because the real stories don't always happen between the lines.